Hi guys, Blake and Sammie here today with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful upper Lake Taneycomo. It is the 4th of April, right? Think so? It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, guess what? Sammie has found the cable. Pop it now. Yeah. Alright. And in a turn of events, they are running 8 floodgates and 2 generators for just about 15,000 cubic feet per second. And so we're up here. We both are throwing 1/8 ounce white jigs. We are spot locked in the eddy on the south bank. We are hoping and praying for some of these other species to be setting over here. I don't think that we've seen any shad really yet, but it's totally possible that some of these other types of fish have fell in the lake. Sammie and I went down to the lower lake today and tried our hand at some bass fishing. And we stopped in a few different creeks and sloughs. And honestly, despite the fact that they were about 10 degrees warmer, we really didn't even see many fish swimming in them, and the water wasn't very deep, so I'm not sure where the fish were at, but they weren't where we were at. So we decided to come back up here. So over the last 2 weeks, they've been running, and maybe even a little longer than 2 weeks now, they've been running a straight 2 units of water. And so this drastic increase in water might affect the fish, the way they're biting for a moment. But once they get used to this flow, I think that this warmer water and potentially some more food source will create a pretty good bite. The only fishing report I have is Captain Steve Dickey. He's out here doing a little testing of the waters for his guide trip tomorrow, and he was throwing a scud rig under a slip bobber, and said he had caught 3 on his first pass. I contemplated rigging up some scud rigs before we came up here, but I felt that maybe this would still be too mossy considering they just turned these on a few hours ago. But it does seem like it's clean enough to maybe drag some scuds. So anytime that we get a massive amount of water like this with the floodgates on, it really stirs those scuds up off the bottom. And you get those big size 10 and size 12 scuds, and you can put them under a slip rig or just even on just a regular drift rig, and usually the scud bite when the floodgates are running is pretty spectacular. And once those scuds start reaching once those scuds start reaching down by Fall Creek and they get stirred up down there, you'll be able to drag those scuds all the way down to Trout Hollow and sometimes a little farther. Well, I think I'm going to start drifting down. My corner is not working out. Did you go over the cable? Hey. Oh, that was finesse there. So another good thing that's probably going to start working real well is dragging jerk baits on the bottom and dragging shad fly imitations. The shad flies have already been working before they turned on all these floodgates, so I imagine that they'll still be working. And I know that dragging jerk baits on the bottom on a drift rig is always pretty good when the water's moving fast. We did find one bass down at Rockaway Beach today. A friend of ours named Rooster told us how to catch it. You might try really letting that thing sink. I happen to remember myself. Even whenever they're running 15,000, even the 1/8 ounce takes a while to get to the bottom. Sometimes they're better just kind of dragging along the bottom and barely popping them too. I would stick a scud rig on one of these rods, but I think I took my fly bag out of this boat earlier. Another fun thing that happens whenever these shad come over the dam, which hopefully it'll happen while they got the gates on, is all of these eddies up here, the ones that you can spot lock in like behind the island and some of these other ones. Oh, look at what I just did. Oh! I almost got smoked by that jig. Ah! I threw it in a tree and it came shooting back at me about 500 miles an hour. We are going to drift behind the island today just because the water's deep enough. you a bite? I think we're gonna pull up behind Eagle Island here, or Eagle Island, behind this first island, and maybe spot lock for a second. Sometimes those fish will get back in these eddy pockets, get out of the current. And like I said, usually it takes the fish a good 24 hours to really adjust to the change in water. Yeah. Might not be the best color right now on a jig. If they'd seen some shad, it'd be on. Well, you want to switch to an olive jig and see if they're biting that better? Yeah. Here, reel that back in real quick. I refuse to believe that they're not biting at least some kind of jig right now. Sammie's gonna go to, actually, what? Is that an 1/8 ounce? Yeah.
What weight is it?
It's an 1/8 ounce. Whenever this much water's running, you pretty much exclusively throw these 1/8 ounce jigs. Nope, it's still wrapped around the rod tip. Okay. Yeah, I think when a country mile, that cast just about hit the bank. I'm really going to attempt to kind of let mine feel the bottom before I jig it. That might help keep it where it needs to be. Did you try the jig?
I just threw the jig. I didn't get any bites.
We're not getting any bites on the jig either.
I weighed it down. I'm going to go one more time. And if I don't get a bite, there's not shagged up yet.
You got one of them.
But, you know, it's not May either when the shad are spawning, you know. The shad are still kind of deep on Table Rock.
Yeah.
25, 30 foot deep.
Well, if we get a good west wind, maybe it'll push them over. Alright, Steve didn't catch anything on his jig either, so.
But he is right about the shad being deep in Table Rock.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys probably couldn't hear what Steve was saying, but he said when the shad starts spawning and we have the floodgates running is whenever we get a lot of them over here because they go up in shallower water. He said right now they're still about 25, 30 foot deep up on Table Rock.
The loons were eating them like no other yesterday.
And so, like I said, today's fishing up here probably won't be the hottest, but I predict that tomorrow and the next few days, if they keep doing the same thing, that these fish will get a little more active, a little warmer water, get used to the high speed of the current. And I don't know, I guess I could look in my box and see if I could come up with something to make a scud rig here. Well, there's one scud right there. Look at that. I'll tell you what, let's pull over to this eddy. We're going to turn the camera off. I'm going to see if I can put together a scud rig and see if we get any better bites that way. So we will be back momentarily. Let's get over here in this slow water. Alright, there we go. We can spot lock there. Alright, we'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, we're back. Real quickly, we both have double scud rigs, size 12 scuds. That's on a 200R hook, that's why it looks longer. I've got a crazy scud right there. I don't even know what it's called. I just had to come up with stuff that was laying in the bottom of the boat in my box. We got 1/4 ounce weights hanging from about 6 or 8 inches of line and a barrel swivel, and Sammie has the exact same thing. I'm gonna turn the boat sideways a little bit. We pulled back up to the flat below the island. Alright, all you're going to do is unhook this. You don't even have to cast it that far, it's kind of just a lob. And you're just going to lob it out there. Close the bail. Alright, we are going to try scuds. Steve did 2 passes with his jig and finally caught 1 fish. Now you should be able to feel that thing bumping the bottom here soon. Can you feel it? Okay. So we're trying to drag scuds. Steve had his on a slip indicator. That might be a better way to present it if there's a bunch of moss on the bottom. And ideally, you just want to keep these dragging pretty straight from where you cast them. You don't want them to go too far left or too far right. I'm going to use the trolling motor to kind of push the boat straight whenever it starts going one direction or the other. I put about 4 feet of leader on these ones. Sometimes whenever the water's running this fast, you can go a little bit longer than that. I'm going to reel mine in and I'm just going to see if I'm collecting moss. Let's see here. No, looks like we're doing good. No moss to speak of, so that's good. Now our only disadvantage today is we're using jigging rods with 2-pound line, so if we get a good fish on, it will be a slight challenge to get it back to the boat without breaking that 2-pound. Seems like a 1/4 ounce is getting the job done pretty good. I am going to turn the boat nose forward and kind of slow us down a touch to get a little bit better touch on the bottom. Oh my. Hey, before you cast that out, I'm going to scoot us over closer to this inside edge. Yeah, I picked up moss that time too. Okay. So in this much water, you can totally get away with using your heavier 4-pound line. Probably even maybe get away with 6-pound in this kind of water. Just cast it straight up this way. There you go. Sometimes whenever they get farther away from the boat, it's a little harder to keep it from dragging up moss. Can you feel it? Might reel it in and just toss it a little shorter straight this way. There you go. Lots of junk still in the water. I imagine with these floodgates running now that the bottom moss will get cleaned off a good amount over the next week if they continue to run the floodgates like that. I don't know if last night's rain pushed beaver up high enough to make them want to run more water. But something has. I just don't know how long those floodgates will last. Oh, that felt like a bite. Got the bottom?
Yeah.
Break it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, she got it back, even with the 2-pound line. Sammie is a professional at getting things back off the bottom. I am not. Yeah, just not the trees. We had fun with trees today down lake. We were gonna do a bass fishing episode down there, but we didn't find enough bass to do an episode. However, doesn't seem like we're finding many trout up here right now either. Maybe we'll get lucky on this flat right here. Yep. Well, I'm gonna have to say that putting them under the indicator for now is probably still your best bet. There's still, even though it's cleaner, there's still just, it seems like a little too much moss on the bottom. Picking it up pretty frequently here. Oh, that was a fish. Alright guys, well, we made it to the end of Trophy Run Island. We tried jigs, we tried dragging some scuds in a makeshift effort, but I think we're gonna get at the big old skunk today. But look forward to some potentially fun fishing up here if those floodgates keep running and these fish get a little more acclimated. And we'll be back out to bring you a new report tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys.